Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. And today we are going to be doing the fourth leg of our Down the East Coast bush trip. And let's go ahead and check our progress so far. So as you can see, we started from Long Island MacArthur in Long Island, New York. Then from there we went to Atlantic City in New Jersey. And from there we went to Salisbury, which was I think in Maryland. And from Maryland we went to Virginia, Richmond Hill. And today is the fourth leg. We are going to be going from Richmond Hill International to Raleigh-Durham International in North Carolina. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and used Sky Vector right here to come up with a flight plan. We'll be using the VOR of I think it's Lawrenceville. So Lima Victor Lima, and the information that I'm about to note down we'll be using for our VOR setup, navigation setup. So let's see. The only one that we need is actually the Lawrenceville, and the information is right over here. I think this is the VOR information. So our frequency is 112.9, and the heading that we're going to be tracking to the VOR is going to be 024. Sorry, 042, yeah. 042. So this is going to be the heading that we'll be setting on the course for our CDI to get to the Lawrenceville VOR, and from there we're going to be tracking, we're going to be changing our course to 226. Once we cross over our VOR, we're going to be tracking at 226 degrees for 71 nautical miles, and that should give us our destination airport of Raleigh-Durham in North Carolina. What we can do is we can also use this VORTAC on our second CDI or our second nav. So this will be from, and on our second nav what we can do is we can set up the frequency of 117.2, which is right over here, and we can track, let's see, so from the VORTAC of Raleigh-Durham, it's gonna be 046, as you can see right over here, which means all we have to do is reciprocate this to get our two course heading, which will be, what I usually do is if the number is below 180, I just add 180. So if we add 180 with 46, we are going to get how much? So 226. So it's basically the same heading. So we're gonna be setting our second nav at 117.2, and to track 226 to our VORTAC. So this should be it. I've written all of that in my notes, so we're gonna be good over here. Right now, as you can see, the simulator is not replicating the live weather, even though if I go to my weather settings, which is right over here, it is set live and it's completely different. So I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, wait. I think this is it. So if I go to live weather, I honestly don't know what's happening. I'm not sure if this is, yeah, this is some like other weather thing I have. So for now, I'll just keep it to live and hope that it will change. We had an update yesterday, as everyone knows, in Flight Simulator. I think it has something to do with that. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing first, let me actually move my controls because I was testing the Kodiak 100. I mean, sorry, not Kodiak, the TBM 930 after the update. And here you go, PA28R3. So we have all that set up and all our levers are back in position. So let's get started. First thing we are going to do is weight and balance, and let's check our fuel. So we have 50% or 56% in this case. We can increase, we can decrease, we don't really have to do much. So what I'm going to do is put it 60 and 60 So that will give us a fuel of 277 pounds, which should be enough. Which should be enough for our this leg. So I'm gonna leave it to that. Next thing, what we are going to do is let's choose our fuel tank. We'll start with our left fuel tank, and I don't know why this is always on both, but yeah, okay. With that set, let's turn on all our lights, or actually master switch first, and then we can go ahead. Okay, what is up? Not sure what's causing that. Oh, okay. I don't know why this lever was up as well, but let's go ahead. Turn all our lights, nav, beacon, landing lights. Okay, with all of that done, we are going to turn on our alternator, and our fuel pump will be on low. Then we're gonna put our prop to max. We'll put our condition lever, or mixture, sorry, in this case to full rich, and then throttle just a little bit. Once we have that, we can go ahead and start our engine. Once we start our engine, we are going to put our RPM somewhere 14 to 1500 to stabilize right there. Okay, we have that set. We can turn off our the fuel pump, and now we are going to set our nav. So as we decided, the first navigation frequency will be 112.9. So 112.90, and our course right over here on our CDI, let's set that. So this is for Lawrenceville, and our course will be 226. So it will be behind 2, 2. So that's 225 and 226. So that should be good, and we are gonna go ahead and set up our second nav as well, and that one will be straight up our VOR at Raleigh Durham. So let's go ahead and set that. It is 117.2. So that is good, and we're gonna be tracking the same. So 226. Let's go ahead. So our first nav is going to be tracking 226 from, or actually to Lawrenceville, and yeah, both of them will be 2. Actually, we don't have a from today, but that should be good. So 226. Okay, now that both of our nav are set, let's move our DME right over here to nav 1 so that we see all the data over here, and let's confirm that our autopilot will be checking nav 1 as well. Yeah, there you go. Let me test it. Okay, nav 1, we can set our autopilot to Omni first, and then it will move to nav once it captures. Our fuel tanks are good. So right now we are on left tank, and once we take off, and in 15 minutes we are going to be changing that. So let me bring my yoke. We will go to the timer and we'll start. I still don't have a checklist for this, which is really bad, but yeah, let's get started. So all the lights are set, everything is pretty set. Let's set our flaps to 10 for our takeoff, and actually before we leave, let's bring our charts. Where is it? Yep. So with our charts, let's go how we're gonna taxi, and we didn't even get a METAR, so we need that as well. So let me go ahead, bring my toolbar. Come on, Navigraph is causing a little bit of delay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our METAR. So the winds are at 0 to 0, 10 knots. If that is the case, so So let's see, there is a runway, I think, runway 2. Well, runway 2 right over here. So if that's the wind from the METAR, which is 0 to 0 and coming in at 10 knots, so we're going to be taking the Lima, we'll take left on hotel and all the way to runway 2. So let's go ahead, taxi according to what we decided, and we'll be off the ground shortly. Our heading, I'll just set our heading to 023, which is basically our runway heading. Okay, our heading bug is set to 023. Okay, I think everything is good. So let's go ahead. Our parking brake can go off and we can start moving. So we're gonna be taking this left right here. Is this even a taxiway? No, I don't think there's a taxiway. Also for cruising, we will be, well, we are heading towards west, so we can have an even number, so we might be cruising. I don't want to cruise too high, so maybe 4,500 or 2,500 actually. I'll start with 2,500, and based on any obstacle we can increase that or decrease it. Going pretty fast. I didn't even turn on my GPS. I mean, I don't even know how to use it, so I guess I'll just leave it off. I don't need that. Both our CDIs are set. The first one is set for Lawrenceville VOR, and the second one is set for the VORTAC at Raleigh Durham, which is our destination for today and this leg. So far, the bush trip is going well. The only problem I'm facing is with my rudder pedals. Once I don't use it for a bit, it starts to... oh, I don't need that. Well, yeah. So it starts to act up and causes a lot of issues. I guess FS traffic is doing its job. As we can see, an aircraft just took off. Are we on a runway or what? Wait. So according to the map, this is a taxiway, but it seems like there's a runway here. I'm just so confused because if you look at the Navigraph charts, we are literally on... we're supposed to be on taxiway hotel, but it's a runway in the flight simulator. Very weird. And the weather system is still not, I think, stable, which I am very confused about, like why the weather is not working. I guess it's something to do with the new update, because I've set my weather to live weather as always, and it looks like a clear day. We can see aircrafts lining up right there, and that is gonna be the runway we're gonna be using. I don't know why we are put into this. I mean, this runway shouldn't even exist to begin with, but I guess it is what it is. By mistake, instead of changing the heading, I ended up changing my CDI2 course. So let's bring that back to, what was it, 2 to 6. Okay, now we're gonna take a turn on hotel, and we can see Embraer's regional jets. And our heading can be 023. So I'm gonna bring that. That is 3 and 023. Okay, our heading bug is set. So we're gonna let this one take off as well, and after that we are going to be also, I'm using FS traffic for all this traffic. So we're gonna be waiting over here and watching them take off, and right after that we're gonna go ahead, line up and take off. So let's stop here, parking brake can come on. Let's go outside and have a look. That is, I'm pretty sure, an Embraer. The modeling is pretty good, and the fact that they have the traffic, and yeah, there are no VFR planes, but that is that. So once this takes off, we are going to line up and wait on our turn, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so they're gone. So time for us to go ahead, line up and wait on the runway. Our flaps are set, all our nav is set, our heading bug is set. Once we take off, we are going to be taking almost a 180 turn to intercept our nav, and yeah. So our fuel pump can come to low for takeoff, and we'll change our fuel tank as well to the right one. And before I forget it, let's stop, reset and start. Okay, so we are good to go. Let's go ahead, put power. We will rotate at around 75, 76 knots. So there you go. We're up. Landing gear can come up, and flaps can come up as well. Fuel pump can come off. So far we did not intercept any nav VORs, so we're going to be continue our climb, and then let's take a left hand turn. So I'm going to put my heading bug to 226 as well. Now we're feeling the weather. Now that I think about what I could have done was also we'll just stay at 2500 here. And we are going to turn on our heading mode. Do I want to climb? That's what I'm thinking. So let's get down to 2500. None of our VORs are still active, so I think what I'm going to do is my second nav, I am going to set the VOR in Richmond, so at least we have one of the options. The wind direction is probably coming from here in this part. We are struggling to even descend to 2500. Okay, we're almost at 2500, and we'll try to stabilize right here. Okay, now that all that is set, let's set our cruising power, so we'll put our RPM to 2300, which is right here. Okay, that is good, and we are set for cruise. So right now we are following our heading mode. What I'm going to do is on our nav2, let's go ahead and find out our frequency for, so the Richmond is 114.1, so let's go ahead 114.1, and there you see on our CDI it says from, and we are going to be tracking from there 225. So let's go ahead set our course to 225. And if I set this to nav2, that is going to show us more information right over here. So we have to go for about 40 or 50 miles actually. And what I can do is I can put it to nav2, and now we're going to be flying on this radial right over here. So we're following the 225 course from Richmond. That is like from Richmond, so basically where we took off from, and we're flying towards our next VOR, which is Lawrenceville, which we still didn't capture. Actually we did right over here right now. Let me go ahead. So I guess that helped. So now it says 2, so all we have to do is change our nav to 1, and we're going to be starting following that. And I'll put this back up. So right now we are around 39.5 nautical miles away, and it will take us 18 minutes to get there. So with that being set, and nav 1 is set for DME, and over here we have nav 1 as well. Everything looks pretty good. So I think I have to reset my height in flight simulator. After the update, a lot of things has changed, because right now it looks like we are a bit too high. This should be basically the height, but yeah, we'll change that after. I'm glad so far everything's working now. We captured the VOR for our upcoming actually VOR, the Lawrenceville, and we're gonna set this back to what we're supposed to, which is Raleigh Durham. So let's set it up to 117.2, and the course that we were trying to follow was 226. So the range is pretty good, but we still didn't capture it. Once we capture it, we'll be fine. So right now, as of right now, we are flying towards Lawrenceville VOR, and we are 17 minutes away, 36 nautical miles and 17 minutes away from it. We are set for cruising power. We'll get the weather shortly for our arrival airport, and yeah, we'll start our planning. We'll be flying very low. Right now we are at around 2,500 feet. Because of the visibility and everything, it looks very hazy, or not really hazy, but I think the clouds, the ceiling of the clouds is very low. So we gotta keep track of the time. In about 8 minutes we will switch our fuel tank. So it seems like we have a lot of tailwind, and the reason why I say it is, look at the speed indicator over here. So the true speed is about 150 nautical miles. That's how much, that's our current speed, and that is definitely because of tailwind. So we have around 13 more nautical miles, and once we reach Lawrenceville VOR, from there it is going to be 71 nautical miles, and we'll be tracking 226 from Lawrenceville, which will get us to our destination airport, Raleigh Durham, in how long? Not really sure, but it should take us about 30-35 minutes. Yesterday I started watching a few more videos on VORs, and now I can finally understand much better when to use to, when to use from, and how I could literally change this from to from if we go straight 180. If we put our heading to, I think, 046 it should be, yeah. So if we put our course to track 046 radial, we will be this indicator will go from to from, because that's the radial coming from the VOR. But if we are going towards the VOR, then it will be the reciprocal of 046, which would be, as we are following right now, 226. So 226 radial is the opposite of the from radial, because a VOR can only give radials coming from itself and not towards it. But the way you track towards the VOR is basically do the reciprocal of the heading that is coming from the VOR, and you will have a 2 indicator on the CDI. And our second CDI, as you can see, is set for 117.2, which is Raleigh Durham, and we will be tracking the same heading. Right now we are 10 minutes away from our VOR, and once we hit that, we'll be tracking 226, the same radial basically, but this time it will be from the VOR. It's very interesting learning about these. I mean, these are very basic, and most probably are not gonna be too useful once GPS is 100% accurate, and it's not even about accuracy, but this is more like a fail-safe. I heard from one of the YouTubers was saying that in Europe, you still, even for your airliners, you still have to have your VOR instruments working, just in case the GPS stops working or there is any issues with GPS. Seems like we're slowly gaining altitude for some reason, so we're gonna set the trim to a little bit down to lose some of the altitude that we gained. Trimming is very necessary in this aircraft. I'm going to cut down my power just a little bit. And we are where we want it to be, so we'll level up right over here, 2500. I think staying over here, it's nicer, we can really see the ground and the greenery underneath us. Is this one of the reasons a lot of people choose Microsoft Flight Simulator over X-Plane, the graphics? I was thinking the other day to really get the trial version of X-Plane because I really want to get into those avionics and all that, but I didn't yet because I'm really focused on creating these videos and completing the bush trip that I currently have. And yeah, that is basically the reason why I'm still I feel like I will not leave Microsoft Flight Simulator. The graphics is just way too good, and like the update that came yesterday, a lot of avionics for TBM 930 and the Citation CJ4, those are being updated. The weather radar is coming up with future updates, so with all of that in mind, I think I'll still stay with Microsoft Flight Simulator and just hope that all the avionics are gonna get pretty good updates. Let's check on the timer for our fuel tank switch. So 13 minutes, 14 minutes, we can go ahead and switch it. So I'll stop it, turn on my fuel pump, wait and check all the instruments. Everything looks good. So we have changed our tank to the left tank now. So we can go ahead, reset and start again. And nothing has changed on our engine instruments, so I'm gonna turn off the fuel pump. Okay, let's go ahead and quickly check our METAR from. So what we're gonna use is the MSFS VOR map. So this tends to help a lot. So what we can do is, and also we are tracking this this VOR right over here. So we're gonna search for our destination airport, which is Kilo Romeo Delta Uniform, so Raleigh Durham, and we can go ahead down over here, and this is the METAR information. So it's the winds are at 040 at 4 knots. So let's see what runway. we can choose either 05 left or 05 right. We'll go ahead choose the 05 right for now. And is there an ILS approach for it? There is an ILS approach for 05 right, so we can definitely set this up to help us navigate better. And let me just quickly write it down on my notes so far. So the winds are 040 at 14 knots. Visibility is 10 stretch miles, that's good. Broken at 800, broken at 1200, overcast at 3700. We don't have to worry about this. Altimeter is 3027. So that is good for our altimeter as well. And for ILS, if we decide 05 right, then our ILS frequency is going to be 109.5 and course will be 054. So all that looks good. We got our information. We'll check it one more time before we are concrete on all those decisions for landing and everything. If the winds change, we gotta change that, but as of right now our initial plan is to go ahead and land at the runway 05 because the winds are coming in at 040. The closest runway to that heading is 05. So runway heading is 054, ILS frequency is 109.5. I still didn't practice my ILS in this aircraft, so we'll take it with a little bit of caution. We might not activate the ILS, but more like, keep it as a reference. Let's go ahead and check our instruments real quick. So we're about 4 minutes away from our VOR and we're going in at 140 knots. We still didn't capture anything on our nav2, which is Raleigh-Durham, and I think the Raleigh-Durham's range for the VOR is about 130 nautical miles, so we should have captured it, but for some reason we still didn't, which is not a problem, though we are using Lawrenceville VOR anyways, so we should be good with that. It's very clear around this area, but as we check the weather, it might be a little bit, the visibility is going to be fine, but there might be a little bit of clouds here and there once we get closer to our destination. So altimeter was 3027, so we'll just set that up, which means we'll have to climb just a little bit. So we'll climb as soon as we get to 2500, we'll come to level. So we're almost at 2500 feet and this will be good. I highly recommend anyone if anyone's thinking about getting on a bush trip or something, and you're trying to do like a mid-range bush trip where your legs are around 100 nautical miles, 150 to 200 nautical miles. I highly recommend the Piper Arrow by JustFlight. It does take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you're used to flying Kodiak 100 with the G1000s. I mean, this does come with the option to use GPS like I think 750, 570 or 562 Garmin devices, but I chose to go with just GPS 100 and no glass, I think that's what it's called, right? glass avionics or something like that, but I want to really learn the very basics of navigation, how to use VORs, how to use ADFs and all that. So it does help a lot, and I'm really enjoying. I think we are almost at our VOR. So our VOR could be somewhere around over here, 1.9 nautical miles away. So yeah, I think it's somewhere around there. Yep, it could be either right here or right here or right even here. I wish they'd better like all the VORs were like handcrafted, but I can understand that's gonna be a huge problem because there are so many VORs around. Yeah, now that we are crossing that, I'll show you. So if you can see right over here, once we cross that, this 2 indication will go from 2 to 4, and we're still gonna be tracking the same radial from the VOR. But yeah, this time the difference is gonna be we're not going towards the VOR, but we're going away from the VOR. So right now you can see the needle moving, and so this means we are right over the VOR, and then you can see quickly change to from, and I think the VOR is somewhere down there. Yeah, I think it could be this. Yeah, definitely it's something. I think it's this. But yeah. I don't know what this opened. I think my FPS is taking a little bit of hit on my Streamlabs, so let me try to fix that. It says my stream quality is good, but I can see it lagged just a little bit. Well, hopefully it's not lagging too much. Seems like the moment my mouse goes over the simulator screen, that's when it starts lagging. just realized I've been talking and my mic was off. But yeah, so let me go over what I was saying. So right now we are on 60 nautical miles away, and we can also see our second CDI, our nav2 is active now, which is tracking radial 226 as well, or 225 I believe, to Raleigh Durham VOR, and our nav1 is obviously still tracking the Lawrenceville. So what we're going to do is, once we are around 15 to 20 nautical miles away from so this is the nav2 basically. I've set the DME to show me nav2 information, which we are around 27 minutes away. And once we are closer, like once we are 15 to 20 nautical miles away from Raleigh Durham, what we are going to do is we are going to start setting up. So before we set up, we will switch our autopilot nav to track nav2. Currently it's tracking nav1. We can go to 2 right now as well, but I'll just leave it to 1. So once we are close enough, we'll switch our tracking to nav2, and we're gonna set our nav1 for the ILS landing, which is for runway 05 right. Even though I still don't know how to really activate the ILS, or if there is any other steps that we have to do, because I know in this aircraft the pitch of the aircraft is not controllable by autopilot, so I'm not sure how the glide slope would work. So all I would do is set that up and basically use nav1 as a reference when we are trying to land. So that is the plan for now, and we have switched our fuel tank as you saw, and it's a clear day. It's a pretty clear day in here. I don't know what's gonna happen when we get closer to our destination, but yeah, we'll see. We have gained pretty good amount of altitude, it seems like. So we are right now at 2800, so time to lose some altitude. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll try to get back to 2500. Very turbulent flight, this one. Last flight was not as bad as this one, but yeah, this flight is very turbulent. So we are almost at 2500 feet. So we're going to level off at 2500 and look at the beautiful scenery. So we're still about 23 minutes away from our destination, and this flight is going pretty okay so far. A little bit of turbulence we're facing right now, but other than that, it's going pretty okay. We can see FS traffic in action as we see two airlines just flying very, very high above us. And we are getting to a very, I don't know what to say, like overcast, not really overcast, but very hazy clouds up front of us. And we are still 50 nautical miles away. The next thing that I think I'm going to do is basically learn how to read wind charts and try to make everything even better. Also, not to forget, I have to learn how to do ILS landings, ILS procedures in this aircraft. And currently, if you watch my streams or YouTube videos, you know that the two main aircraft that I always fly is the Kodiak 100. I invested a lot of time into that, so all my on-air airline manager add-on, the carrier add-on, for all the missions I use Kodiak 100, and for VFR flying like bush flights, I use the JustFlight Piper Arrow, which is this beauty. I've really enjoyed this. Like, yes, there was a little bit of learning curve, and the whole reason why I started flying this is to learn the basic navigation, the basics of navigation, like VOR navigation, and that's the reason also why I'm not using the advanced GPSs that are already available in this aircraft, but I've been using the GPS 1000 mod, which is very basic and simple GPS system. So most of like the entirety of this bush flight that we are flying all the way from New York to Key West, Florida, we're going to be using only VOR as our nav aids. And other than that, the only update I have is I have placed an order for the 737 throttle for my Bravo throttle quadrant, and once I have that, maybe I'll do a few flights with 737 and maybe a few with A320. But as of right now, I'm really flying I'm really enjoying flying the GA aircrafts more than anything. I think it has been really fun flying these aircrafts. Less sophisticated, but you get to do a lot of, like, it's a very handsy aircraft. If you're flying something like an A320 or PMDG 737, most of the things are set up on the flight computer. Yes, there is fun setting up the flight computer as well. It's very fun setting up FMC. Okay, flight simulator doing its thing. The weather just cleared up, but there is a lot of wind. So, and as I was saying, like, setting up the FMC and MCTU, it's really fun, don't get me wrong, and flying airliners is obviously very fun and fulfilling. But at the same time, I think recently I have I'm like leaning more towards the GA aircrafts and doing short hops and doing the airline manager add-on, which is so good. Like, I highly recommend it. If you want to see how to use it and all that, you can check you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Zulu Alpha 907. Make sure to subscribe there as well, and of course follow my Twitch. So if you go to my YouTube channel, there are in-depth video about on-air airline manager when I'm using it, like for my streams. All the videos are on my YouTube. Like, you can go ahead and see how I choose my missions and how to do all the configs and everything. It's a paid add-on, and obviously there's free add-on like NeoFly, which is available and which is really good as well. But for me, it just didn't work out with NeoFly. It was very cluttered, and sometimes it would just take me to random places like the body of water over there and ask me to land over there. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But on-air airline manager is much more mature, I would say. The interface is very clean, and it's a delight to use. There's a lot of information. Like, I am a guy, I normally do programming and trying to become a software developer, so I really enjoy looking at all the data. And in on-air airline manager, once you after you have landed, you see ton of data. You see the vertical speed, the G number for your landing, and how the flight went overall, the max speed, the max pitch, the max turn, and all that. So I'm really I really enjoy that. And also choosing the missions and all that, it's very fun. It shows you the METAR information straight up on the on-air airline manager tab. So all of those really made me, I took the trial version, and after like 3 days I was like, nope, I'm getting the full version. It's just too good not to get it. And especially if you use an aircraft like G1000, Kodiak 100 with G1000 NXI, it's an absolute delight to fly that plane for jobs like that. Let's go inside and check a few things. If we go to our nav, we are about 40 nautical miles away, 18 minutes. Let me quickly check if we have to switch our fuel tank. It's been 10 minutes, so we can give it 5 more minutes before we switch our fuel tanks. and our fuel levels are looking good, not too bad. Yeah, so far everything is good. So once we are, right now we are at 38, so once you're about 25 nautical miles away, we'll check the METAR one more time, and then as we discussed earlier, we are going to set ILS frequency and course for our nav1, and we are gonna get our nav2 activated for our aircraft to follow the course towards Raleigh-Durham. And as of now, the winds that we had when we got our METAR was 040 at 14 knots. Altimeter is set 3027, and we decided we're gonna land on ILS runway 05 right. We have all that information as well. So as of right now, in about 4 minutes, if I remember, we'll switch our fuel tank, and yeah, we're on our way, 37.2 nautical miles away from our destination. Also, this is the leg 4. Next leg, I believe, where are we flying? Let me check. So next leg, we are going to be flying from Raleigh-Durham International in North Carolina to Florence Regional in South Carolina. I believe it's in South Carolina. So after that, we'll go to Charleston, and then from there Savannah, Georgia, and right after that we'll enter our last state of this bush trip, which is Florida, because we're going to be going to Jacksonville Executive, from there Orlando Executive, from there Albert Whitted, then we're going to go to Page Field, Palm Beach International, Miami Executive, and finally Key West International. Really enjoying the bush trip so far, and I hope the weather is going to be good as we continue going towards south. And let's drop our altitude to 2500 one more time. We keep gaining altitude because of the winds and everything, so just trying to fix that. We'll try to stay within 2500. We are almost there, so let's go ahead and level off at 2500. Okay, with that done, I think what I'm going to do is, let's stop the clock, turn on our fuel pump. So we'll turn the fuel pump to low, wait just a few seconds, and then turn our fuel tank, which is right over here, but I have it mapped on my Bravo throttle quadrant. So we're gonna go to left tank and then wait for our RPMs and everything. It looks everything is stabilized, nothing is going wrong. We'll reset, start, and turn off our fuel pump. We are only 15 minutes away from our destination. The flight has been good so far, apart from a little bit of turbulence in the last, I believe, 15 to 20 minutes. And we're cruising at 2,500 feet at about 130 nautical miles. 130 knots. Why do I keep messing up on that? And as we said, FS traffic on action, we can see an aircraft right above us over there. And I hope we get to see more planes as we get closer to our destination, and maybe some parked in the Raleigh-Durham International Airport, which it should be. It's a pretty busy airport. Okay, it seems like we lost our VOR, so let's switch it real quick to nav2, and we'll start to set up our ILS. Yeah, good thing I actually saw. So right now our nav2 is activated, so we're going to be following this radial, which is 226, towards Raleigh-Durham VOR or VORTAC. And the information right here is for the Raleigh-Durham VORTAC, which is about 30 nautical miles. So let's go ahead and grab our METAR. First, we'll check the standard way, our METAR toolbar, if it has. I don't think it does. Yeah, it doesn't. So let's go ahead, open our VFR map. We will search K Kilo Romeo Delta Uniform, and yeah, there you go. Let's go ahead down. So it did change its variable at 5 knots. So VRB is basically variable at 5 knots, so it could be from any direction. So what do we do? If we bring our Navigraph charts, let's go ahead and check out the airport. If you go to taxi chart and airport information, so there you go. So this is the runway that we chose, but now that the winds are variable, I'm not really sure from where it's coming, and it's around 5 knots. We can, if we want a straight in, we can choose the 23 left or 23 right. I'd most probably choose 23 left as it's a shorter one and most probably designated for GA aircrafts. And if you go to approach, 23 left does have ILS, and that's the ILS information right here. So the course is 234 and ILS frequency is 108.5. So if we do end up choosing that runway, the runway 23 left, the frequency is 108.5 and the course is 234. So we have that information as well. As we get further closer, we'll check our also one thing, the airport elevation is 435 feet. So airport elevation is 435. Okay, so we have all those things written and we can decide what to do once we are very close to the aircraft and we get our meter information one more time. Right now altimeter has changed, it's 3008. So 3008, let's set the altimeter. That's a big change, honestly. The visibility is still good though. The visibility is still good. 10 statute miles, that is good, but interesting. Well, we have our charts by our side and we can make pretty good decisions once we are close to the airport. And right now what I'm going to do is, let me set the ILS for our runway 23 left, which is 108.5. So let's go ahead and set that, and the course that we have to follow is 23. Did it right there, 234. Yeah. So obviously it's not going to get activated until we are like super close to the runway. And what I'm going to do is just to test it out how it looks. Yeah, see, it actually did. So what I can go ahead, let me try to move it to nav 1 and let's see the aircraft line up with the runway. So this way we can also just join the traffic pattern for runway 5 once we are like very close and we think that we do need. And if I turn this on, so we're 20 nautical miles away from the runway. So as a backup, we do have our nav to set up for the VOR. If we run into any issues, we can quickly change to that. So we have all the options available. Right now, all the options are on the table. Let me try to get the METAR toolbar to work. It's just a small toolbar, so it's much more easier to just keep it on the side. It should have showed up over here. I don't understand why it isn't. Oh yeah, actually it is. Yeah, there you go. So 18 nautical miles. When this still says 040 for some reason. 040 at 4 knots. Which means we do have to use runway 04. It's very confusing. if I check on sky vector, let me quickly check that. So sky vector does say 040. Quickly gonna go in and check the weather. Yeah, I think we'll have to take runway 04 or ILS runway 05 right actually, yeah. Because I don't know which one to trust or what to trust. I believe that is the airport, so 15 nautical miles away. So what we are going to do is let's switch to our nav 1 for now. I mean nav 2, sorry. And we're going to be following right there, and we will set our ILS information for runway 05 left, which was 109.5. So 109.5, and the course will be 054. As you can see, my CDI I'm just turning, so 054, 03, 4, 5, and 4. Yep, so 054 is set. Right now we are tracking our nav2, which is taking us towards the VOR of Raleigh-Durham, and I believe that's the runway where we're going to be landing. If I bring my airport chart, so we are coming in towards like this. So this is going to be 05 right. Actually, I think maybe on the other side. But yeah, this is 05 left and 23 right. So we'll be landing on this side of the airport, and I can see it. That's good. So we'll get into the traffic pattern, and should be an easy landing. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's check on our fuel timer. So in about 5 minutes we'll switch our tank one more time. Other than that, everything is looking good. The weather is looking pretty okay. I hope the winds are not too bad, and I hope the winds are not variable according to MSFS VFR map. So this is very confusing. Like, you see one thing on the map METAR, and then you see something else on the METAR toolbar. Like, it's just very confusing. I hope this was not the case, but unfortunately this is the case. I'll also set my heading to our runway heading actually, which is 054. Yep, 054. Our heading bug is set right over here, and we are around 10 nautical miles away. So this is the runway. This is runway 23 left, and we're going to be landing on the other side, which is 05 right. So we'll go ahead, we'll stay in the middle of the airport and go straight ahead and then come right back. So we'll join it at about 45-degree angle of the downwind for runway 05 right, and from there we'll go ahead and make the landing. I'm very hopeful it's gonna be good, and I hope my rudder pedal, so I'm just gonna kick my rudder pedal just a little bit. So what happens is, initially when I move the rudder pedal, it's like huge, I think something is wrong with the rudder pedal itself, so it takes like huge turns right after I land. So I have to keep on like kicking it a little bit before we land, just to make sure my rudder pedal is calibrated and it doesn't do that. Because after like 1 or 2 times moving it, it comes back to normal, and my sensitivity is like super like low. So even if I push very hard, it shouldn't go too much. But then initially when I start kicking it, it starts just moving very fast. So we can see our destination airport right over here. Very cool, very cool. We are about 3 minutes away from it. So I'm going to soon turn off our autopilot so we can hand fly it. Basically the autopilot, all it's doing is using the nav to take us from one VOR to the other. Our ILS is set for runway 05 right, so we'll use this as a reference when we are making all those turns and everything, but apart from that, we can see the runway very, very close to us. And I'll start descending actually. We'll get to, and I'll pull the power back so we don't overspeed, and we're within flaps range. We are almost like we're gonna be getting right to downwind, and I think I wanna hand fly. Yeah. So let's go ahead. We will descend at about 500 feet to about 1,500. So we'll lose around 1,000 feet by the time we are near base. So right before our base turn, I'm hoping we're going to be at about 1,500. That will give us 1,000 feet to descend more. There's definitely wind, tailwind that I feel. The airport is big. Once we get off to a taxiway, that's when we'll decide what taxiway to take and where to situate ourselves. Wow, the winds are really crazy. Oop, that was me putting the throttle a bit too low because of the landing gear and all that. It gives us a warning. We still didn't catch the ILS frequency, most probably because we're on the other end. And once we are turning base, we should get that. We can see some traffic below us. I don't think in real life there's even allowed like to fly over an airport like this. And once I start using VATSIM or other ATC services, whichever I decide to, and feel comfortable, I believe we'll have to do everything in a much more standard procedure. Okay, let's make sure we are on a downwind. Too close to be on a downwind, but that's fine. And yeah, so we are only 1,000 feet above the ground. We can see the runway 5 right. Let's move a little bit to the right before we turn, and we're gonna turn once we cross these buildings right here. So we're gonna cross these buildings, we'll go and line up with the runway. Speed is not slowing, just trying to slow down so we can start putting our flaps on. Already should have had flaps 1 or flaps 10. Once we get close to about 105 knots, we're going to put our flaps down. If I do put my flaps down right now, hopefully it's not going to be structural damage, but we will definitely lose speed, which we are, as you can see. I think we'll turn our base. Right now we extended it just a little bit because of our overspeeding. So we're gonna turn base here. And we'll also go for the final one in the same turn, and then we'll adjust for the runway. As you can see, our CDI 1 is activated. And once we can visually see our runway, we are also going to put our landing gear down. So there you go. We are perfect actually. The height and everything is good. We just have to, we overshoot the final, which we were supposed to. I mean, we were very close. So I'll put my landing gear down. And flaps can go to 20. And flaps full. We'll line up with the runway shortly. There you go. So there's a lot of wind and turbulence, so let's go ahead, be careful, not smash down on the ground. Just kicking a little bit on my rudder pedals to make sure that they're good once we land. I'll do a quick kick right before we touch down, so we know that we're good. Very turbulent final. Kick my rudder pedals one more time, and we should get on ground pretty good. There you go, we're on ground. Apply brakes. That was not bad. That was actually not bad. So we're gonna take this taxiway, and let me open my charts. So we are very close to general aviation ramp. Or we can just park right near the terminal 1. So we'll park somewhere over here, but that was not a bad landing. Let me bring all my flaps up. And one thing that I forgot is turn on my fuel pump. Very bad. I was so concerned on how the landing is gonna go that I forgot about that. We're still good. The fuel tank was not too bad. So normally the rule of thumb is that it shouldn't be, the difference shouldn't be more than 10 gallons, and the difference is not more than 10 gallons, so we're good with that. Just gonna take a left turn over here, and we'll find a spot to park right on that empty space. I hope nobody complains from the airport. We'll secure our aircraft here, and we'll be done with this leg. This was pretty fun. I'm just focusing more and more on VOR flying, watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of articles, and trying to understand all of those things. So I think we're gonna go ahead and have a good view of the terminal and park right over here. So parking brake can come on. We are going to turn off our landing light. Nav lights can come on, and let's go ahead, shut off our engine. So alternator off. We can stop the timer. There you go. We'll shut off our magnetos. Our nav lights can, beacon light can come off. So everything is off and secured. Parking brake is on. Magnetos are off. Fuel tank will go off, and master switch is going to come on. So that is it. That is it for this flight. I really hope you guys learned something and you guys enjoyed the video. I mean, the leg was pretty okay. There weren't too many problems. There were a lot of turbulence in the way, and the weather of Microsoft Flight Simulator is definitely acting up a little bit, I feel like. Not sure, but at least we made it on ground safely. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you join in for the next one as well, which will not be tomorrow, most probably day after tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can stream tomorrow, but we'll try my best. So we're done with leg 4, and I'm excited for leg 5. So in leg 5, we are going to be going from North Carolina to South Carolina, and I'll see you in that one. Goodbye.